What's up, everybody? Baroque, Spircuyete, Chabone, Siene, Cipicalone. Right up in Győr. And right behind me, I thought this was an abandoned hospital, but it's not. I just seen that lady waltz up out of there with a little prescription document in her hand, and she was bucking it. She was gone. But anywho, it looks like, check this out. It does look like an abandoned hospital. It's creepier than a motherfucker. And plus, if I went up in there, I was thinking, I surmise, I would see my doppelganger, you know? That is, like I said, in light of the fact that I jumped the gun and came to the conclusion that it was an abandoned facility, but it's not. But that aside, let's get this party started, man. And I learned some Hungarian words. I'm gonna teach y'all a few essential ones that you'll need to know when traveling around Hungary, especially in this region over here in northwest Hungary, the Trans-Danubia region, where there are cities, i.e. Győr, Sopron, Panahoma, etc. You can visit them. They're within the proximity, you know, just a quick train ride, an hour to Sopron, for instance, and like 20-30 minutes to Panahoma, which has this heritage site. It's like the Arch Abbey, a school, monastery school that focuses a lot on thought and religion. So yeah, a lot to see and a lot to do around here. Don't skip it. And I'm going to show y'all more of this city. And like I said, let's get it popping, y'all. So now I'm in Sasini Square here in Győr, one of the main squares in the city. And there's another Sasini Square, ironically, in Sopron. It seems like that's a familiar trend and or pattern throughout this region. You have like multiple cities that have like same street names and so forth. But anywho, it's Baroque, and yet more Baroque style architecture. And I just started studying actually Baroque because there's so much of it here. Like, I just kind of beside myself, just seeing so much of it. I studied a little bit when I was in university, like art history. They covered it a little bit, but not really in great detail. So I went on my own, and I'm not astute by any means or any stretch of the imagination. I'm not, you know, a scholar in the field. I didn't major in, you know, Baroque art. You know, I majored in Mandarin Chinese. I majored, and I minored, I should say, in Japanese history and in film. So I don't really have a whole lot of expertise on the Baroque style. But I started, like I said, you know, dipping into it a little bit. And it's interesting, the era was like, it lasted for only 150 years, from 1600, or I should say rather 1500 to 1650. And it's just like, from what I understand, from my knowledge, it's kind of over the top, exaggerated. It's everything grander on a bigger scale. And it's, you know, you have a lot of the structures have domes on top of them and that sort of thing. So when you see that, that's kind of a signal or an idea that it's Baroque. And I know even during that 150 years, opera actually was born, you know, and you can say that the Baroque era or the Baroque period was a catalyst that kind of kickstarted, you know, the opera. So I think it was like 1637 in Italy, I believe in Florence, when the opera was, or the first opera house was constructed or was actually operational. So that's pretty cool, I gotta admit. All right, y'all, ascending the hill now, heading up towards the castle. It's called Puka something, I don't know, can't pronounce it. It's in Hungarian, but it's the Bishop Castle. And this building on my right, can you see this building right here, y'all? This particular, I don't know if it's a governmental building, but it has a cross on there, so it's definitely could be a religious institute. But no lie, not kidding you guys, an Asian girl walked past here the other day with two local girls, and I heard a Harry Potter reference. Just saying. No lie, that Harry Potter reference was thrown out there. So that was a treat, you know, for sure. But anyways, I want to mention now, you know, a couple Hungarian words that you guys should know if you guys are going to be traveling around Hungary, especially if you're not going to stay in Budapest, where English is widespread, so you wouldn't even have to worry if you're going to spend all your time in Buda and or Pest. But the words you should know, first one I'm going to say, it's a common one that everybody says, it's kosarom, which is thank you. So if you walk into a convenience store, walk into a shop, you're buying some goods, doing your thing, you can say that. Or even when you stay with locals, you know, they'll be surprised to hear that you're speaking a little bit of the lingo. Yeah. Camera went out again, y'all. Second word you guys need to know for sure is Volstayat. Volstayat. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but that's goodbye. Volstayat. Volstayat. Goodbye. Another one that people always say as well, and I'm talking about no matter where you're at, everybody says Egan, Egan. You hear that everywhere, Egan, Egan. And that means just like, you know, I'm fine, I'm all good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to discuss this, don't need to worry about it. Everything's taken care of, business is handled, you know? And then the last one is Nem Tudom. Nem Tudom. And that is, I don't know. So if you don't understand what somebody's saying, if you're not able to communicate, there's a dialogue or language barrier. If somebody is speaking to you in Hungarian, and if you don't understand what they're saying, you just reply with Nem Tudom. Nem Tudom. I don't know. Nem Tudom. So yeah, guys, those are the 4 words and or phrases that you should know that are essential if you come to Hungary. Like, bottom line, you got to be able to use these words properly so people can understand you. Unless, like I said, you stay in Budapest, then no worries, you know. You can scratch that. And I've talked about the transpo situation in a previous video, but real quickly I'm going to mention about that because I found out, you know, something interesting when taking the trains, specifically around Hungary, especially on, you know, outside of Buda and outside of Pest. And that's when you take the trains, there's two different types of trains. There's the intercity train, that's one. And secondly, there is the passenger train. So you'll see those when you go buy tickets at the train station, whether you buy them at the booth or you buy them out of the from the machine, rather. You'll see on the far right-hand side there, as you're scrolling up and down the screen, you'll see intercity and passenger train, and you'll see the prices are different. They're about maybe 400 or 500 forint difference. Sometimes it could be even 1,000, which would be like $3 depending on the time of day. So that's very important. Usually in the morning it's cheaper, and towards the, you know, the later evening and even late night, the prices tend to go up quite a bit, drastically, you know. And the inner city is actually more expensive. It's assigned seating, and it's more VIP status, you know, I would say. Whereas with The passenger train, there's no assigned seating, there's no reservations needed, cheaper prices, like I said, and you just hop on, sit wherever you want, you know, just chill. And the trains are a little more run down, a little more seedy, but and you know, the other key thing, the salient thing to point out here too, is it takes much longer. The duration, the time, and even though it's the same distance, the time that it takes to get from one city to another, it's so long. Like, by comparison, you know, if you do the passenger train, for example, if I was going from Budapest to where I'm at now, Győr, it's about 1 hour and 30 minutes on the passenger train, and that's the cheaper one. That's it's a little bit slower, and they actually make more stops along the way. That's why it takes so long. They're stopping at more villages and more towns. And then on the flip side, when you take the intercity train, it's just like maybe 2 or 3 towns, cities, and or villages that they're stopping, you know, stopping by en route. So it's much more efficient, and like I said, it's a little more fancier, a little more extravagant. So you know, it's to each their own. But I have taken both before, and it just depends on your time schedule, if you have time constraints or not. But just want to, you know, to point that out real quick, because that's important. Knowing you know, the situation, what type of trains are available to you, and prices and so forth, you know. So, but anywho, yeah, that pretty much covers the trains, and of course some of the Hungarian words, like I said, that y'all should know if y'all decide to swoop by here. And that's the City Hall building, y'all, just in case y'all didn't know. Now you know, City Hall.
And that's all, folks.